Hello and welcome to FuboTV. Today we have an interview with Chris Richrds, one of the top US men's national team players and one of our best center backs. For this interview, we're going to be talking about FC Dallas, Bayern Munich, how he got into soccer as a kid. Also, we'll be touching upon Hoffenheim, US men's national team, and a little bit of a comparison between MLS and Bundesliga in a quick manner towards the end of the video. So with that said, make sure to hit the like button right now. I will not be requesting it during the interview. It helps the algorithm and it helps the channel very much. Besides that, sit back, relax, maybe get some popcorn. Let's play the intro and let's hear it from Chris Richrds. All right, today we have Chris Richrds here in the channel. And Chris, once again, thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So we're going to get right into it here, right here. The first question I have for you right away is you grew up, well, you're American here, like us. You grew up here, and it's a country where soccer is not the main sport. We all know that very well. And your dad was a former basketball player, right? A former professional basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
So where did he play?
So he played in Australia and in Iceland and in Bolivia as well.
Oh, he played professionally for a few years. So this is actually my question to you. How did you end up with soccer, dude? How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I kind of ask my parents that all the time as well, because I played every sport growing up, and it was always paired with soccer. So I was playing soccer and basketball, soccer and track, soccer and football, soccer and baseball, and it was just soccer was always a constant one in my life. And I played basketball pretty much from the time I was 8 until I was 16. And it just came to a point where, I went on a ODP trip. I don't know if you know what ODP is. It was like the Olympic Development Program is what they called it. And so there was 4 regions, and of course, representing the Southeast region, we went on a trip to Argentina. And it was like my first time out of the country. And then, of course, Argentina being a soccer hotbed, I got to experience the culture down there. And we went to Boca Junior Stadium. We went to a local derby, and just seeing that, I came back and I told my dad, I was like, I love basketball, but I love soccer even more. And just having experienced what I did this past week and a half, and I want to do this for the rest of my life.
So you went to La Bombonera. That's
yeah.
Boca. So how old were you when that happened?
15.
Okay, so you were older. You were a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And then obviously you went to the FC Dallas Academy, which I've talked about so much. It's definitely the most successful academy in the United States right now. And you see all the players that are. I had a friend of yours here in the channel, Christian Kappas, that played with you. And then you get other players from the Dallas Academy. That now we have Ricardo Pepi, Brian Reynolds, Weston, obviously as well. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about that I saw that you posted this on Twitter, actually, and I'm adding this. I know a lot of the interview talk, but I'm adding this. You posted this on Twitter. So you have a younger brother, correct?
Yes, I
playing
do.
Futsal? He's playing futsal?
Yeah. He plays every type of soccer possible.
So I saw that video, and I'm a big, because I was born in Brazil, so and futsal is very big in Brazil. And then when I saw that video, I was like, oh, so Chris Richrds' brother now is playing futsal here. This is what we need in the United States. Can you briefly talk about that? Is he exclusively on futsal or doing both? How old is your brother right now?
So he's 9, and he plays both futsal and outdoor. And he's a baller. I'm not just saying that because he's my little brother, but he's a baller.
He's gonna be better than you there.
Yeah, he's already both-footed, so I think he's already got a little heads up on me. But growing up in Birmingham, we never had a futsal program. We had 2 indoor courts, but they were like the AstroTurf, and it was 35 minutes away from us. So, it wasn't really a big thing. And then the people, they're called Birmingham Futsal. It's who my brother plays for, and they've kind of started this trend in Birmingham where it's, after or when it's not outdoor season, come play futsal, or then you can pair it together. And I went to go watch my brother this summer, just like at a few futsal trainings, and it's crazy how many people are there now. And from younger kids to even I think they have an adult session, kind of just keeping those guys who have the love of the game, just keeping them active. And it's been really cool, and it was something that I wish we had growing up, but I'm glad my brother's taking the most art, using it to the best of his abilities, and I'm glad that in Birmingham there's finally a platform for just kind of more soccer.
I love to see that because many people don't understand this, that you can definitely become a professional player. We've seen it, including you and many others. You can just go through the field and become a top quality player. But I think what futsal does, especially at age nine is a great age for development of skills. Your brother's going to have an ability to get out of tight spaces in the field, unlike players that don't play futsal, because futsal is just like time and space, everything's so compressed and it's such a quick paced game. And I saw that video and I was like happy to see it. And I think
Yeah,
we saw Eddie Johnson has been training kids also, I think in Florida at futsal as well. I've been seeing
yeah.
those videos too. So I'm happy that's happening here. Sorry to go off topic there because I just saw that tweet and I had to mention it.
You're good.
So to go to the next step, the next part of it was we've had here in the channel Justin Shea, and he was in a similar. He didn't stay in Bayern like you did, but he will. We'll see. But he did a similar path. There was that 10-day program, I believe, that you went through, and then you got a loan to Bayern, and then the full transfer. My question to you is more in regards to that. So FC Dallas has this program with Bayern. What is exactly on these 10 days? Do they test you? Do you just play games and they scout you? What exactly happens there? What is this 10-day program with Bayern?
So it's kind of just getting thrown right into just kind of like the normal week with the U19 team at Bayern. So I mean, first day you get there, of course they do all of these, like they call them Leistungs diagnostic tests, and it's like the sprints, this thing called the speed court, just kind of just testing not just your basic abilities, but just kind of seeing how athletic you are, to be fair. And then after that you get right to it, regular training, and of course they try to put it in a part of the season where you can also play games, because of course being a guest player you can't just jump into the league like that. So they try to put it at a point in the season where you can play games as well. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just like a regular week of training with the Bayern U19s, and then also getting a game or two throughout that week.
So pretty intense, right? Because you have 7 to 10 days to show why are you worth keeping here.
Exactly. And then I throw a random off day in there, and you're like, well, that's one day loss.
and then they kept you, and then you played with Bayern 2, I believe, for a little bit, right? And then you were with Bayern in and out, Hoffenheim last season, Hoffenheim now. And along with that, so I'm going to go and skip. I'm going to go to Hoffenheim soon, but I want to talk about Bayern since we're at Bayern, so I don't have to go back to them. You've played a couple games for Bayern, been in and out. Now you got the loan. You still belong to Bayern, right? It is a loan on Hoffenheim. And I wanted to talk about when you're training at Bayern, you're training with players that are, because top class players, Hoffenheim, any team in Bundesliga has. But when you're in Bayern, as we all know, this has been the most dominant team in Germany the past decade. You're training with Lewandowski, now Kimmich, also a younger player but emerging. How did that experience? How does it affect you when you come in and play against players in CONCACAF or maybe even other teams in Bundesliga? How did that help you more of the training? Because you didn't go against these guys, but you went against them in training. How can you talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just training with those guys kind of just makes you realize not how easy it is, but I guess how easier it could be when you're playing up against other teams and other guys, like you said, from CONCACAF or any other team pretty much in the world. Because like you said, Bayern's a team that, they've pretty much run the Bundesliga for the past 10 years, and not just the Bundesliga, but they've also pretty much run the world football for the most part. And, trainings, of course, at Bayern aren't easy. But then if you look at it in retrospect, you're training against the best players in the world. And, it's something that these guys probably weren't doing at 19, 20, 21 years old. And so that experience is something that, you take it to the national team and you try to push the people around you. And then when y'all get into the game, it's something that hopefully, because you brought your certain level to the trainings and they got better, then we all bring it into the game. And, we do what we got to do to get a win. And I think that's kind of the motto of CONCACAF, is that you just got to do what you got to do to get a win. And I think we all bring our certain aspects from whatever club we came from, and we just all mesh it together, and it just seems to work out.
Yeah, I mean, not that much younger than me, but a little bit younger. I don't know if you remember, there was this player called Alan Smith from Manchester United in the 2000s. And I had him at the channel last year, Alan, and he played for Leeds United when Leeds was good. Leeds made it to the semi-final of the Champions League when he was there. And then they had the financial issue, got relegated. And when I was with Alan, he told me, he's like, I played for a semi-finalist Champions League team. So that team was amazing, the Leeds United. But then he moved to Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson and then Cristiano and all those guys. And then what he said in the interview, he was like, I knew what it was to play with high quality players, which was what Leeds was. But when I went to Manchester United, I learned what it was to win trophies with all these players surrounding me. It was just something different. And he said it had something to do with the culture, and it wasn't just the quality, because he said every team at the top level, the quality's there, right? And we even saw Borussia because my German is terrible, Mönchengladbach. Hopefully I got that right.
Yeah, you did.
We just saw them beat Bayern 5-0, which is crazy, but that doesn't change the fact that Bayern is debatably the best team in the world, even nowadays. So I'm going to move on to Hoffenheim now, which is another top quality Bundesliga team that has, last season you even played Europa League with them, right? And hopefully they can get back to that. So how did you slide into that system so well? Because we've seen them play with three in the back in the past. We've seen them now play more with two defenders sometimes this season. And it just seems like you fit their system very well, right? Because you fit in last year, you come back this year, and you're right in the starting 11. Or are you just that good?
I mean, to be fair, the coaches that I had, they were my U19, U23 coach at Bayern. And so once I came here, they made it easy for me. I mean, it was just kind of getting my foot into the door and just kind of taking what they've taught me the past few years and just bringing it here to Hoffenheim with me as well. And, they showed trust in me from the first minute, or they wouldn't have brought me in. And I kind of thought about it like that, even though I am probably one of the younger guys on the team, they've shown that they want me here, and it's a loan, so they wouldn't just bring me on loan if they didn't have any thought to play me. And so I just kind of thought of it like that. And of course I'm going to make mistakes, and of course every game's not going to be perfect, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to just get as many games under my belt. And like I said, it was them just showing trust in me at first, because I'd had them for the first few years of my career here in Germany, and they just made it really easy for me.
Yeah, and you gotta give yourself credit as well at your age to just come in and start for a Bundesliga team, which is top 3, top 1, maybe best league in the world. If not, it's up there as number 1 or number 2. And you come in and you slide into the starting 11 of a team that is not a relegation team. It's a team for mid-table or to fight for a European spot. You got to give yourself credit to that. And I have a question for you with this. Watching your games, you're pretty comfortable with both feet.
Yeah.
Is that natural, or you worked on that?
No, I had to work on it. I came over here, and the same coaches I have now here at Hoffenheim, they threw me in. Well, actually, let me rewind. When I first moved to Texas and I played with Houston, Eric Quill, he was my coach then. He started playing me on the left side because my right foot was good, but he knew that if I wanted to really make it one day, that I needed to play left. And so Houston, I played left center back my whole career there, and then moved to Dallas and I was playing right center back. And then once I came back here to Germany, they put me at left center back, and that's when I really realized that you really have to be both footed if you want to be a center back. And so I worked on it, played left side pretty much my whole time at Bayern. And then when I got here, it was like, it's time to use it. Like it's go time. And so I guess I've kind of showed it off a little bit more since I've been here, but it's definitely something that I had to work on. It wasn't something that just came naturally to me.
Now, you're right that center backs nowadays do need to use both feet. Well, every player, right? Everything, even goalkeepers at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think one thing to give credit is you seem a lot more comfortable with your left foot than a player that's with his right foot, regardless. Because I was watching the game, and when you played, the first game I actually watched from you, you played, I think, as a right back for Bayern, the first time I saw you. You got an assist in that game. You might remember it. And then I saw, well, he's a righty. I was watching and scouting. And then I watched a couple more games. And then when I saw you with Hoffenheim once, they played with 3 in the back and you were the left center back. And then I just see you throw this long ball. I think you got an assist for it. with your left foot. I'm like, wait a second, wasn't he a righty? And then I started to observe it more, and I saw that you don't really, whatever foot the ball is, you're capable of playing with it, which caught my attention because that's very rare, right? The players can use both, but they do have the tendency of, okay, I'm going to do a long shot, I'm going to go with my right foot. And I even see this a lot with John Brooks, right? John Brooks, very good defender on the ball, especially with long passes, but he does use his left quite often. You don't see John use his, you don't see Brooks use his right foot as often. So that's why I asked that question. And then comes into the next question. So you finally had your World Cup qualifying debut for the U.S. men's national team in October. It was a fun game. I was impressed with the team overall, and this is one thing I said here in the channel, was for the first time, because I've sometimes I get very angry with the team, right, as every fan. Sometimes I get happy. And you guys allowed an early lead against Costa Rica. But what caught my attention was, for the first time in a long time, even though when we were down, I was kind of calm throughout the game. And I think I was calm, not because I am calm. I am not calm. I was calm because the team just seemed like you guys had it under control the entire match. I just felt like we're going to win this. The team is controlling the game against Costa Rica. It was sloppy at times, I'm not going to lie to you, but you guys just passed on a calm. And I noticed this also from a lot of the fans I talked about. We were calm about it. When that first goal happened, there was no panic among the team, right? You guys knew what you were doing the whole time. You seemed pretty chill about it, despite being a very young lineup.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, we're a young lineup, but also a lot of these guys have a lot of games under them. And now I said it before, CONCACAF isn't pretty. You know, you're not gonna just go out there and expect a team to just try to play around you. It's gonna be physical and it's gonna be a messy game. And yeah, we went down early, but you know, you kind of take the good with the bad, and you know, we realized that we had 89 minutes ahead of us, and you know, we knew that if we played like we normally play, that no team can touch us in CONCACAF. And so we knew with the players that we had on the field, and just with the kind of after the game against Panama, we knew that we had to come with something different. And I think we showed that throughout the last 89 minutes of the game, is that even though we went down early, it just kind of shows how resilient this team is. And you know, even though we're young, I feel like a lot of us, or a lot of the guys, have a lot of experience, and just kind of knew that there was no need to panic, because we knew that we could control the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's regardless of having experience, that's a good trait to have, right? You're down and you just have confidence on your game, because like you said, the talent the United States has nowadays, right, for CONCACAF level, there's no team we should fear, right? Yeah. I know Mexico is a pretty good team, but we shouldn't fear Mexico. It shouldn't be a team we're afraid of. Exactly. Which brings me to the next topic. By the way, everyone that's watching this now, we recorded this before the roster's announced, and Chris doesn't want to tell me if he's in it or not. So, so November camp. Not saying you're there or anything, but Mexico, our rivals, right? If you get the chance to play that, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think as an American soccer player, you know how big the rivalry is, and you know, I played in the 20s against Mexico in the CONCACAF final, and you know, it was great to beat them there. And you know, hopefully we can beat them next week in Cincinnati. I mean, it'd be great to finally experience that for the first time at the senior level. I mean, I remember watching Michael Bradley and Azteca scoring that chip goal from 40 yards out, and that was just something that has always stuck in my mind. Whenever you think of playing against Mexico, I think that's the game that really sticks in my brain. And hopefully, you know, we have a lot of goals like that in the game next week. But you know, I think it's definitely a game that you always circle on the schedule.
So there's this thing here in the channel that they call the tactile effect. Every time a player comes here, he ends up scoring after. So
I hope this is I hope I get a little piece of that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope you either get a goal for Hoffenheim this weekend, or if you play for the US, that. But just to wrap up the interview here, the last topic I want to touch upon, the very last one, is you didn't really have an MLS career, right? You didn't really have an MLS career because you left so early, and then you have it abroad. But I'm assuming you had a little bit of the experience of what it is in FC Dallas and saw it a little bit. And I just want you to try to, because it's hard sometimes for Americans to see this of what is different and what is changing here, essentially. So could you say any differences you noticed between MLS and, I wouldn't even say Bundesliga, I would say Europe in general, in regards to maybe pressure from the fans, the media, the game itself, whatever you saw, any differences and similarities, right, of what you noticed?
I mean, I think the biggest difference for me is that there's no relegation in MLS. And I mean, I'm not saying that FC Dallas, we have this culture where it's like, oh, if it happens, it happens. But in Europe, no, you're fighting the whole season to make sure you don't get relegated, because a lot of these fans, they live and die by their teams, and of course no player wants to see their team go down. And I think the fan base in the MLS, it's getting a lot bigger, but also I think in comparison to Europe, like I said, these people live and die by their teams, and it's like a family tradition. And so like, the granddad is a Hoffenheim fan, then his son is, then it just keeps going down the ladder. And I think that's something that it's pretty unique here. But I think it'd be awesome to see that in the MLS as well.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think there's things MLS does well. I love the playoffs, I would say. I think that's something maybe European leagues could add. But yeah, promotion relegation, I agree too, because you do see some teams in MLS that are just bad every season because
there's no consequence.
There's no consequence. And in regards to fans there, would you say maybe the fan, like you mentioned it briefly, the fan base there is a little more passionate, you would say, maybe in regards to the club level? Because the U.S. men's national team fan base is very passionate.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be the club level for me. I mean, I guess it's because MLS is still a young league, and so it's not really a world established league either. I mean, we don't play, or MLS doesn't play Champions League. I mean, we play CONCACAF Champions League, but that's kind of a newer thing. And I think if it was kind of more of a world respected league and they were able to play more world competition, I think that it would kind of grow the club fan base when it comes to MLS.
Agree. I noticed that when I was in Brazil as well for a while, the difference of the passionate the fan base were in regards to the national team level. I think it's pretty similar to any country, but club level, it seems like they don't have that rivalries yet going on in the league, the 100-year-old rivalries and things like that. But to wrap it up, that was everything I wanted to talk about. And Chris, thank you very much for being here. Wishing you the best of luck next game over the weekend for Hoffenheim. Hopefully next week in the US if you're in the roster as well, and everything else. Thank you very much, Chris.
No, thank you.